AI art is sometimes the only way people who were born with no talent can make art.
I hate you. To prove you wrong, I'm gonna make a song with zero music production knowledge without using Suno or any generative AI. For these next 7 days, everything in the song, the chords, the melody, the production, the lyrics, and even the vocals are gonna come from this guy. There's just one small issue though. Did I mention that I don't know how to make music? Like, at all? Before making a song, I needed something to make it in, so I downloaded the free trial of Ableton Live. I was gonna use FL Studio, but the free trial of FL Studio doesn't let me reopen saved projects, and I definitely need that feature since I'm making this song over the course of 7 days. Once everything was set up though, I had to ask myself a very important question. So I'm thinking, first I should probably figure out what genre of song I want to even try to make. But after a very long time of deliberation, I ended up getting decision paralysis. So I ended up just spinning a wheel to help me narrow down what kind of song I'd like to make. I'm getting decision paralysis, bro. Okay, you know what? Low key? Okay, you know what? With lyrics, no lyrics. Let's see what happens. Okay, no lyrics, so I'll make an EDM song. And I mean, I guess the best place to do that is just to make a house song, you know what I mean? All right, let's get to work. Even though I listened to a decent amount of house, I never really inspected the songs. So my first step was to listen to a bunch of house tracks and carefully study what made them work. Okay. Low-key, after inspecting a bunch of house songs, I kind of realized that they all have vocals. There's always just like one thing in the background that goes da 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 da. Let's just look up how to make these like sounds. With my extensive research now complete, I decided to watch a video on house sounds. Because house has so few elements, each of them are super important in making the song sound good, which would explain my video choice. But this video ended up being way too complicated for me, so I just jumped into Ableton itself and started to play around with this instrument called Operator to make my very own synth bass line. Wow. Okay, W chord progression. Or bass line. Then, after scrubbing through presets for, I'm not kidding by the way, 30 minutes, I finally found another sound I was happy with and started to make my very own drum beat. And by drum beat, I mean I added a kick drum. And over the course of the next hour, I would slowly but surely pick out some more sounds and add them to the timeline to create this masterpiece. But after 2 full hours trying to make this song, I realized I had a different problem. This was just so boring. Okay, honestly, this is too boring. I'm sure I could make something that sounds okay. Like this sounds Okay, this is pretty bad. But I think I can make something that sounds okay, but it's like finding sounds is just so boring that like I don't think that this will make me satisfied. Most of my time wasn't being spent doing anything interesting. Out of the hour I'd spent making this loop, like 40 of those minutes were spent just trying to pick out sounds. This was so unfulfilling, I had to call it quits. So halfway through day 1, I ended up abandoning my house track. Bro, maybe I should just work to my strengths, you know? I used to be in choir. What if I just make like a song like, I don't know, Lave or like something like that. Let's make one of these, bro. Ooh, wait, this is genius. All right, I started with the chords, which I thought was gonna be easy, but I have literally zero music theory knowledge, so I ended up just getting very confused. Dude, this is gonna be so much harder than I expected. I was just like doing some studying on like some chord progressions, and I ended up on J-pop chord progressions, right? This does not sound anywhere close to this song, and it says it uses this chord progression. Like you're telling me Titanium uses this chord progression? Like what? Like what? I will never understand music theory in my entire life. I think that I will genuinely never understand music theory ever. I legitimately could not understand how 2 songs could use the exact same chord progression and sound entirely different. But eventually, after an hour of literally pressing random notes, I finally found something I kind of liked. I kind of fuck with that. I kind of like that. Let's actually keep that for now. I'll admit, it sounds kind of similar to this tutorial I was referencing off of, but it is slightly different and it sounds different as well. Oh yeah, by the way, while I was making these chords, I decided to make a Porter Robinson inspired song. It's because, you know, like, I like his music and everything. But to get back on track, I also decided to pick the theme of the song. Maybe I'll make this song about like being forced to give up your dreams in pursuit of a J-O-B. no. Now, how do I make that sound super profound? Oh, I know a good one. Okay, you can talk about like, look at the younger you. The luster in your eyes. The central image would be the luster in your eyes. You know, that sense of excitement and imagination you had when you were younger. And because luster sounded pretty deep, it also became the name of the song. Which brings us to the end of day one, with no music being made yet. This week might be a bit harder than I thought. Alright, so the initial plan for day 2 was to map out the song structure. So the plan today is to create like a song structure, and then maybe I'll start writing some lyrics and like etc. for it, you know? But that never ended up happening. Instead, I followed the same tutorial I used yesterday and began building the instrumentals one layer at a time. First, I added this pluck sound to support the piano, then a pad, then a synth layered behind it. Then I added some drums, a bass line, and some other layers like a shaker and some light ambiance. One useful thing I learned was this technique called sidechaining. All it boils down to is every single time the kick drum plays, the other instruments become very briefly quieter. This is what creates that like pumping sound you hear in a lot of electronic music nowadays. And after applying it to everything, honestly, I made something that doesn't sound all that bad. The only problem is it kind of sounds like that lo-fi music I'd used to study in high school too. This sounds more like a lo-fi beat, bro, I can't lie. Like, let me put this on like the laughing cow or whatever, like the happy cow. It's not necessarily bad, but it wasn't really the vibe that I was going for. That was a problem for future me though, because I wanted to work on the melody now. So I opened another instrument and just started playing some random notes. But this is where things kind of took a turn. The more I tried, the more hopeless I felt, because all these melodies were trash and this was not easy at all. It sounds so generic though, I don't like it. Like, how are we writing melodies here? Writing this melody is gonna be a lot harder than I thought. That's like way more complex than I was thinking, bro. Like, I'm only using like 1 to 2 notes here. Side note, this is Vocal 3 in the S8QL plugin, but to get this to work, I had to use like a bridging app, and this app costs money, and I didn't want to spend that money. So for the next 6 days, I'll have to restart my project every 20 minutes because this demo only lets me use the app for 20 minutes at a time. Anyways, I just kept on trucking and made melodies for the next hour. And I kept some of the ones that I felt were just okay enough. Spoiler alert, all of these suck and won't make it past tomorrow. It's like, it sounds okay, but it seems so generic that it doesn't even like, it just, this, oh, it resolves to this, no, it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, but like, there's no, I feel like even though it sounds okay, there's no creativeness to this melody, you know? It's like, but then I realized that maybe I was just being a bit too harsh on myself, especially considering I've never done this before, and I've technically only spent a single day working on this song. I don't know, maybe am I being too hard on myself here? Like, for this being like the first song I'm ever making, am I being too hard on myself? Because I feel like it sounds okay, like it definitely sounds okay. Anyways, after 30 minutes of trying to better define the song structure, I just called it a day. That was pretty good. I feel like I got a decent amount done. Tomorrow will probably just be like writing the lyrics and stuff, and then more mapping out the structure of the song. All right, well, see you guys tomorrow, day 3. The plan today was to try and write some lyrics for the song, but once again, I did not adhere to that plan like at all. Immediately after opening the project, I realized that I wanted to fix the lo-fi problem. So I decided to add a synth known as a supersaw to the mix. I copied over the chords I used for the piano, and honestly, that sounds pretty cool, but I thought it still lacked a little something. So I ended up adding some notes in between the chords. And this was just done by experimenting and seeing which ones sounded nice. Then I added some more ambiance with some free plugins I found online. And after about an hour of playing around with the project, this is what it sounded like. Once that was done, I also wanted to extend the supersaw section to fit a full 8 bars, so I ended up making a slight variation to the chord progression. After this though, progress kinda came to a halt. I spent the next 4 hours fiddling around with the instruments and rewriting the melodies. Like, I would realize a chord progression is wrong, I would fix one chord, and then all of a sudden the other 5 layers would all mess up as well. But in the end, although time consuming, I would get it done. Alright, so at this point in time, I had a decent sounding backing track, some pretty poorly written melodies, and an incredibly basic song structure mapped out. Right around the 5-hour mark though, I made the decision to add another track. And after pitching it up an octave and fixing the timing a bit, this is what it ended up sounding like. No. Wait, this is making I'm like smiling like an idiot, bro. That actually sounds pretty good. You know how like you become like nose blind to your own apartment? Is this a case of that, or does this not sound actually kind of decent? I thought that one layer completely made the song. And I'm not sure if you're able to tell by the clips, but I wholeheartedly, genuinely enjoyed what I was hearing. And this right here, that's the beauty of music production. When you're in the zone, you start to feel like nothing can go wrong. Everything is going wrong. By the beginning of day 4, the instrumental section was mostly finished, which means it was finally time to get started on the vocals and the lyrics. Actually, I think the song structure is basically done. Except I actually lied again, because I once again started filling with a timeline for about 2 hours. I kept finding small inconsistencies with the song, and I just had to fix them. Eventually though, I reached a version I was happy with, so it was time to actually start working on the vocals. By the way, for some reason my webcam also died for like 5 hours, so you won't be seeing me for a bit, unfortunately. Anyways, the central theme I was carrying since day 1 was the luster in your eyes. So naturally, I had to start with that. The idea was that I'd first figure out all the vocal processing I need to do, then I'd move on to creating the lyrics for the song and actually recording those verses. So I gave it my best shot. How long has it been since you lost the luster in your eyes? And started my journey trying to process these vocals. Fucking chipmunk, bro. Absolute chipmunk. And this just reminds me of that like animal, well, like that like pig or elephant or whatever it's called. Like in that one like movie. Yeah, Loki, this sounds like shit. I might have to reconsider these vocals. These are very, very bad. I should have just made a fucking opera song. I don't know how I'm gonna get past this vocal thing. This is just awful. I thought that the processing could save some of it, but I think, bro, my voice is too deep. Like I genuinely don't think I'm gonna be able to find a solution for this. His voice sounds so different to mine. Tell me like I can't do that. Like bro, that's not like this is, no. I can't give up. I can't give up. I want to give up. I want to give up. I want to give up. Holy shit, that sounds so bad. Bro, why are plugins so expensive? This is $150 US, by the way, for a pitch shifting plug. What? Only $149. Only $149 US. It's a steal. Everything's so goddamn expensive, bro. I just want to survive, bro. Want to survive and, you know, make a cool song. Bang, 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 serum, little altar boy, manipulator. What are these names? $700 bajillion later, and you can start making your song. Can they just make my song for me for $200? Today is done. Today is considered over. We are leaving this for tomorrow me to figure out because I don't have the capabilities of doing this anymore. Over the next like 6 hours, I tried like legit everything I could think of. I changed the auto-tune settings, added distortion, removed the distortion, pitched my voice up, pitched my voice down. I stood up to sing, layered multiple recordings, and legitimately downloaded like $1,000 worth of free trials and plugins. But nothing worked. I'm fucked. Or am I? The next morning, I went straight back to the vocals. I tweaked some auto-tune settings, removed some distortion, and briefly considered replacing myself with Hatsune Miku. Eventually though, I started singing again. But this time, I was a little bit smarter about it. Instead of singing an entire verse in a register I definitely could not sustain, I'd record a few words at a time and then piece them together. I think I need to sing this in separate parts because it doesn't make sense if I don't, honestly. It was a bit tedious, but it was definitely necessary. I could shorten the notes I couldn't hold properly, and I'd also be able to catch my breath between phrases. And for the next few hours, I just got to work. And after a grueling 10 hours of trial and error between yesterday and today, I finally managed to record a vocal section that I didn't completely hate. I kind of don't really hate that. If I don't hate it, that means it probably sounds okay. Because it's probably like even worse to me than it is most other people because it's my own voice. I can't say I really liked it either, but at this point, neutrality was basically the same thing as success. Now that the vocals were finally somewhat usable, I could start writing the lyrics. Remember the theme? It's about how some people slowly lose that passion and ambition they had when they were kids. You know, not necessarily because it physically stops them, but because fear, insecurity, and the people around them slowly convince them to stop trying. You know, it sounds really deep, but in reality, I just don't want to get a job. Anyways, after like 4 to 5 hours of work, I was able to finally finish writing and recording my first verse of the song. I'll have to admit though, trying to write the lyrics and the melody at the same time was a huge pain in the ass. Because overall, it's just very creatively draining. Like I had to come up with 2 things at a time, and I didn't know how to do either of those things. But very slowly, line by line, I managed to piece the entire first half together. And after 5 whole days, I could finally listen to the song from the intro through to the first verse and into the drop.
'Cause fears will exist in new ways. The world will wait for us. These will come softer and touching us while it cries. But somewhere beneath the surface, it's still lost in your eyes.
And honestly, hey, that unironically sounds pretty damn good considering everything that happened yesterday, as well as my previous song making experience, which in case you forgot, I have none of. That's about it for today, I think. I got through the vocals. I actually managed to make it sound acceptable, I feel like. There's still some tweaking I need to do. And then tomorrow I'll just work on probably some more vocal stuff, as well as the second drop. I'm honestly pretty happy about how it turned out today. This vocal stuff was a real pain in the ass though. Today began with me listening back to the song and writing down a list of things I wanted to fix. Alright, so yesterday after I finished recording, I listened back a few times to the current song and I made some notes, which is as follows. And for the first hour, things were going relatively well. I was going through the list and checking off every item like I was shopping at a grocery store. And then my project crashed. Then I tried reopening it, and something involving autotune had completely broken, which basically corrupted my file and didn't let me reopen my project. Oh my god, it's crashing. Did my file get corrupted? That's so annoying. Bro, my file got corrupted. That's so annoying, dude. Alright, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news first? Good news is, Ableton automatically saved a few backups of my project. The bad news is, the newest version of the backup was old enough that I had to redo most of the things I've been working on for the past 30 minutes. And this is around the time where the 7-day challenge really kind of got to me. Bro, I'm getting burnt out. I'm getting burnt out. Ooh, I'm getting burnt out. For the first 5 days, even when things went wrong, I was still learning new things and kind of innovating on my song. But now most of my energy was spent fixing tiny mistakes and listening to the same 10 seconds of the song replay over and over again. I still needed a second verse though, so I kind of just forced myself to write one. And here it is. I wasn't particularly happy with the lyrics, but I was so burnt out that I just kind of didn't have it in me to write better ones. So I just started recording me singing the verse. Okay. I just wrote my verse too. I'm not exactly too happy with these lyrics, but I'm a little bit burnt out and tired, so we're just gonna leave it as is. But it's as if Apollo himself didn't want me to finish this song because a bunch of other problems started showing up in Ableton too. Why is the autotune completely gone? What the hell? What is going on? This is pissing me off. What's happening here? My plugins aren't working. I can hear it. This is not right. But not only that, my camera also stopped recording around the 2-hour 40-minute mark. Bro, how was I not? I literally made sure to start recording. Everything's annoying. Everything's annoying. Oh my god, I'm so burnt out. Okay, do I just call it here? Like, do I just call it here? Like, whatever, you know? Like, whatever. Last day. At this point, all I had to do was fix the remaining vocals, add some final effects, mix the song, and export it. I started by re-recording some of the weaker vocals from day 6, and eventually got them to the point where they're acceptable. I just fixed some of the vocals. I think it's acceptable now. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really want to do much more to the song. Obviously, the second drop is like the exact same as the first drop, basically. But honestly, I don't know what I could do to make it better now, and it just feels so like whatever. There were still some things I wanted to change, like for example the second drop was basically the same as the first. Some transitions could also use more effects, and a few vocals I also just didn't particularly like. But at this point I kind of just couldn't be bothered anymore, and to put the nail in the coffin, my project started crashing again. What the fuck? Same issue as yesterday. And I finally realized that if I kept going, I probably wasn't gonna make the song noticeably much better. I was gonna make myself hate it. So I decided it was done. I finished my last few autotune changes and exported the song. But oddly enough, I wasn't as excited as I thought I would be. The biggest changes happened several days ago, and by the end, I was just making tiny adjustments that you couldn't even notice. So it felt like I was no longer making progress. But then I remembered what my music sounded like at the beginning of the week, and somehow 7 days later, I'd made a full actual song. This is Lustre. Alright, so that was the very first song I've ever made. Is it perfect? Definitely not. Like, there's already stuff I would change if I were to make it again. But just 7 days ago, I didn't know how to use Ableton at all. I didn't know how to structure a song, write a melody, process vocals, or anything related to this. But now, I got a song that I made all by myself. This challenge was a bit annoying at times, and this deadline forced me to kind of be creative even when I definitely needed a break. So I probably wouldn't recommend speedrunning creativity, but without this challenge, I might have not even gotten started. And despite all my song's problems, I'm genuinely proud of it. The only issue is that all the plugins expire in a few weeks, which means I might never be able to open the project again. It's probably fine. I'll be learning more fun skills in my future videos, so subscribe if you'd like to see those. And let me know in the comments what I should do next, because I read each and every single one of them. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
I'm allergic to